Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new edition of Message of Hope. And today, directly from lovely Paris, we have Mary Schiller, who is a coach and a well-known author and trainer. Well, we even get say that as well. So, welcome, Mary.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here with you.
Thank you for saying yes. And I will ask you the infamous question, which is, how does having this understanding, how does that help you navigate whatever shows up in your life, events, circumstances, COVID, whatever shows up?
It's such a powerful question, even though it sounds really simple. It's really a game-changing kind of question, because when I kind of figured out that nothing out there was causing any of the emotions that I was having or the thoughts I was having, that those were actually all due to me, that they were rather random too, that I couldn't control any of that. It was the most freeing thing that I had ever discovered in my entire life. And that was back in 2014. So as we're talking, that was quite a long time ago now. And that realization continues to impact my life every single day, literally every single day. Because what it means for me is that when something looks like it is causing a response in me, I just know absolutely 100% that that is not true. It's not possible. And the way that I like to think of this, I kind of have a sense of humor about this. I'm a big Harry Potter fan. And let's say some event happens, or someone says something, and I have a negative response to it. I always picture it like this. Does that person or does that event have a magic wand where they're going to cast a spell on me to feel a specific way in that moment? Well, obviously that's not happening. It's not possible for someone to zap a feeling into us. It's just or a thing or a circumstance. That doesn't exist in the real world. I like to think there is magic in the world, but not exactly like that. And so what I do believe, though, because this is from my own experience, is that when more people start to realize this truth, that everything is coming from inside, it's coming from us. When I'm around more people who have that understanding of this truth, there's a lot calmer energy. It's just a lot calmer. Like, I look at my relationships, my closest relationships, those have been dramatically improved by having this understanding. Because if, let's say, my husband does something and I have a negative reaction, I know I'm reacting to my own thoughts. I'm not actually reacting to what he did. I'm reacting to a thought about it. And I could have just as easily had another thought that wasn't that maybe whatever he did was great. I could have had, and so we just don't give so much energy and attention and weight to those things. So what's happened in our relationship, to keep going on this example, is that if there's something that we feel we really need to discuss with the person, we just do it from such a calm place. It's not fraught with anger and upset and all of that stuff. We don't argue. It's just not something that we would ever do. We wouldn't have a discussion like that, because we are coming from this place of knowing that everything he feels and everything I feel is coming from ourselves, not from the other person. And therefore the energy in the room when we're together is very calm, because we just get it. And so this is basically how life is now, because if something occurs, like in my home country of the US, there's a lot of upheaval and all of that. And it's not to say that I don't have a lot of strong feelings. I do, but I also know that those strong feelings are being generated from me. They're coming from me. I am 100% responsible for whatever is going on within me. It is not anything to do with anybody or anything or any event. And that's what I find so freeing, because it means that I can decide, okay, do I want to give a lot of energy to whatever that is? Say it's a roiled up, kind of emotion. Do I want to give a lot of energy to that, or don't I? And most of the time I decide I don't, because it's not the place I want to be inhabiting within myself. I don't want to live in a space of being upset and angry and all of that. And those emotions are all okay. I just prefer, if I can do it, I prefer to live in an energetic space that's much more neutral and kind of, goes up and down in its way, but not with so much ferocity, if that makes sense. So that question is monumental, and I actually think it's one of the most important discussions that human beings on this planet could be having. If we could get the word out, I think it would have a massive positive influence on everything if people understood this.
And you're right. And that's why this question exists. And I will add, I don't think I'm revealing any secret. You're very open on that you heal, you can say, yourself from PTSD just by understanding where our experience is coming from.
I did. After several decades of dealing with what I would call pretty severe symptoms of it on a daily basis, and being told that there really wasn't anything more that could be done, I just didn't quite believe that when they would say that. So I kept looking. And when I ran across this, it just became so obvious to me that even though bad stuff happened, I'm not denying, it's not about denying anything.
Yeah.
Somebody did some things to me that were really bad, but the way that I was feeling was not due to that person or to the events. It was me. It was me looking at any thought or feeling that came through me that looked like PTSD and going, oh my gosh, there it is again. I must be sick. All those people are right. There's no hope for me. That's what would happen every time I would have any sort of fleeting thing that looked like PTSD. I would just go, oh, there it is again. They're right. I'm sick. I'm never going to be okay.
And we have 100,000 thoughts per day. So those thoughts are going to show up all the time.
And you probably have the same thoughts that I was having at the time, because the thoughts I was having were normal things, like maybe getting nervous if you see a stranger or something. I was living in New York City at the end of all of that. And, you see somebody, that's not an unusual thing to have like that instinct of self-protection. But I saw that as a sign of sickness, those kinds of things. And so, and other things that, everybody has, other feelings and thoughts that everybody has, I had magnified them. So when I came across this, I was like, oh, so I'm creating my own suffering here. I'm doing this to myself. It's not the person, it's not the events, it's not any of that. It's me. I'm doing this to myself because I'm paying so much attention to these thoughts and feelings that have been labeled as post-traumatic stress disorder. So I just stopped doing that. When one of them would show up, I would just kind of sit there and I'd feel it. It would be very strong. And sometimes, it would feel a little overwhelming, but I would just sit there and go, okay, well, nothing horrible is happening to me right now. I'm just sitting here feeling this, and I'll just sit here until it goes. And that's what I did. And within a very short amount of time, I noticed that those kinds of large PTSD kinds of episodes just weren't happening anymore. They just weren't. And so I've actually applied that same method, if you will, with all kinds of other things. So, if I felt like I was having a problem in a certain area, if I would have a thought or feeling about it that seemed really real and saying, yes, this is a big problem, this is a big problem, I would just sit with it. And I still do this now. I'll just sit with it and go, yeah, no, that's not true. I'll just sort of be with that and let it go on by and not worry about it and not jump on it and say, oh my gosh, yes, it's such a big problem, whatever it is. And this has, honest to goodness, changed literally. I can't think of a thing in my life that this has not changed in a positive way. It's changed everything. It's like I woke up as a new person when I found this out.
And probably with compassion with yourself, because I don't want people to say, oh my God, I'm still thinking my thought, and I don't want that to be another reason to repeat themselves either.
No.
So yeah, probably with compassion as well.
I am also very clear that thoughts are not the enemy. There is no enemy anymore for me. Thoughts are not the enemy. Emotions are not the enemy. There's nothing to work on. There's nothing to fix. What I've discovered over these years is that we're designed to have all of these thoughts and feelings. There's nothing wrong with them. And I think there's far too much focus on people feeling like they have to control their thoughts or they have to manage their emotions and all of that. And that just looks so not true to me at all. It's the complete opposite. It's like hands off, just leave it. And then when things do occur that you have to do something about, I've found that my decision making is much better. I'm just much clearer. I don't have a lot of, what do I want to say? I don't have a lot of angst over things anymore. Certain circumstances can exist. Like I'm thinking of something I'm dealing with right now, where in the past, if I were facing this particular thing, I would have been very nervous. And I'm just not at all. I don't have that. It's just not there. And if it does come up, I don't care. It's like, okay, whatever. I know that it's me. It's not this situation. So I'll just
keep the weather going. You're not responsible if it's raining.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. So I'll just keep going and creating what I need to do to take care of this thing. And that's it. So there's just not all of that drama and all of that. It's so unnecessary. It allows you to, this is something that I've learned over time, is that when you start to get this, that everything is coming from within us, you start to really appreciate all the emotions that you have, instead of saying, oh, you shouldn't have so much grief, or you shouldn't have, you shouldn't be so sad or whatever. It's like, no, I can actually have all of those emotions and they're all fine. They're all just part of this human emotional spectrum, and there's nothing wrong with any of them. And that's been quite freeing. For sure.
Message of hope.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I always say if seeing things this way can help me, it can literally help anybody, because I was someone who it's hard to even explain how much I went through trying to quote unquote fix myself. And how many professionals told me there was no answer for me. I tried everything that existed, basically, and I just wasn't going to give up. And then I ran across, this new way of seeing things. And I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't somebody tell me this before? It would have saved me, 25, 30 years of suffering. But I'm glad that I discovered it when I did.
It's never too late.
No, it's true. It's true.
Well, thank you, Mary, for your wisdom. And if people want to find you, where can they find you?
They can find me on my website at maryschiller.com, and they can also find me on Instagram at Mary Schiller.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much, Martine. It's been fun.